Whatever.
Hello. I don't know if we were supposed to do a countdown. Hello, everyone. I don't. Hey, it's 9:45. Welcome, everyone. We are the new flavor of the week for doing the Survivor 46 podcast. If you don't know us or the game we're from, we represent Subversion. We are currently airing Thursday nights on YouTube. Follow us at Subversion Mole. Yay. I am Lee Farrell. I am the host, EP of Subversion, but I wanted to bring along two friends with me. So, first, I will introduce the one below me here, and that is Miss Erica Petrillo. Erica is one of the reasons that everything looks so beautiful, from the photography to the videography in Subversion, and is just such a great reason of why you should put people that have the training and have gone to school for this stuff behind a camera, because we owe a lot of that to her. Also, just have to shout out, you see a lot of the great editing. That is, of course, our Sam Foser and Mitchell Hammond, who is just a machine behind the camera. So what a great team that we have there. And then we have the honor of having one of our season one players here with us. Now, if you haven't caught up or if you haven't been watching, I'm not going to spoil anything. So I'm just going to say Carrie, who is on the cast. But Carrie, we are so happy that she is here to join us as well as we talk Survivor. We are not used to talking about games where you vote people out. And I am, for one, pretty excited because I know that we were chatting, just the three of us, before coming on here tonight and chatting a little bit about the episode and how we wanted to talk about things. And I think this will be an interesting recap, to say the least. So before getting into the recap, I want to turn it over to the two of you. Like, what are some of your general thoughts on the season leading up to tonight? Have you been riding the Banu wave?
Okay, I'll start. I'm obsessed with Banu. Sorry. I said it once, and I'll say it again. Banu is me if I ever played Survivor. Maybe not as like religious and spiritual, or spiritual, I should say. Because but I think that he is me, and I think the paranoia is very real, so I don't blame him at all for the way he acted, but I can understand getting annoyed with him if you were actually playing a game where you were, especially if you're Yanu, who's like starving and tired and cold. But I'm obsessed with Banu, so I miss him. But my general thoughts in this season was like every episode I'm waiting for something new to happen. So I'm excited to get into tonight, and I'll just leave it at that.
I also enjoyed watching Banu because he's good TV, but after a while you just got a little bit of secondhand embarrassment because he was doing his best, and he's just a little bit too nice for Survivor, I think. But I did also see my own tendencies in him. Bless his heart. I'm enjoying the season. It's not gripped me to the point that previous seasons have. Full disclosure, I have not seen every season of Survivor.
Me either.
So my takes here would probably be a little bit wild.
Well, I guess, spoiler, you wouldn't be able to pass the journey challenge that they did then, potentially. I have been saying this even leading up to the season, and I feel like this season is giving off some really big Gabon vibes. And I think we're going to see that even more as it progresses. Like, people very openly disliking each other, probably not going to change their opinion on that. I felt like Banu was giving off some major Sugar energy. Just happened to get the placement that Sugar should have gotten. But
I haven't seen
can't win them all.
Season, but I've seen the iconic final speech from Corinne. So Yeah.
Well, let's just get into the episode. I mean, to begin, we got a recap, and I think Bonanu still got more airtime than some of the players still in the game. So
Yeah.
amazing how that worked out. I think what's happening here though is that they really tried to transition this away from Banu being so desperate last week to really making this episode feel incredibly unserious to me. The whole episode felt very unserious.
Yeah. It was.
I did enjoy that the women this season are not playing games. They're not, I mean, you're lying to people, but I mean, just telling someone to their face that you're using them as a meat shield is crazy. And I
That
love
was.
watching it. Is it good for your game? Probably not. But I love it from a viewer standpoint.
Yeah. No, the women are insane. I love it. I literally within 2 to 3 seconds of the Banu edit playing, turned to my boyfriend and said, "Who the fuck are these people?" And then it started coming back to me because I see my usual characters of like, oh, okay, I like Tevin from that tribe because I just like enjoy his vibe. And then I'm like, oh, I like Maria from that tribe. And then the way the edit was going, it made it clear that either Yanu was going to lose horribly again, or we were going to get, for me, I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but I knew that I think we were going to get either a green tribe or a purple tribe going. So, yeah, my thoughts going into the episode.
I was really surprised there wasn't a tribe swap.
Yes, that too.
Really
Very
surprised.
surprised. Very surprised. I felt like if you're going to do it, this is really the only time left that you can. I'm not sure if people are trying to just like if Jeff or if they're just like enjoying the idea of decimating. I was writing this down when I was thinking about it, and my immediate thought was we really haven't had like a true decimation since like Palau happened. Like and I remember that as someone who has not watched every season, like it was so iconic that they lost every single challenge as a two tribe, by the way, a two tribe season with no swaps where they decimate down to one player left. And I can't tell if they're wanting to do that or not. They're definitely wanting to just see, I guess, how desperate they can. I don't know if they were fascinated by, hey, this is finally maybe the shot where Tiff is going to have to make a choice, because I know sometimes editing can be a really tricky thing. And so, I was thinking to myself, well, if Yanu loses, I think Tiff knows exactly, or at least when you watch this in other seasons, you're like, that player always knew what they were going to do. It's never a true like debate for them. But I feel like, and I would imagine the producers feel like, Tiff is probably actually conflicted here. She probably doesn't actually know what she would do between Kenzie and Q. And I'd have to imagine that there's a little bit of being so interested in seeing them lose so that she finally has to make that decision, because it's prolonged it forever and ever and ever, and she's really not had to do much other than what is, I don't even want to say what is easy, but what is easy.
I think that they just didn't do a tribe swap because Jeff wanted the potential Emmy nomination from the comeback story. But it really didn't make sense to me. I felt bad watching it for the people. I was like, I like Survivor and I understand it's really difficult, but at a certain point, like if you're watching someone starve for 10 days, I'm like, let's shuffle a little bit. Clearly the tribes were not correctly positioned, but I'm glad that they won, and I still hate the boot, but
yeah, I don't know if the format of this here conversation that we're having allows for me to spoil something that happened towards the end of the episode. Not the boot, we'll get there, but the next on. I think the oppositely, because the next on seems to imply that there will be a merge. And so I think they set it up. I honestly think Tiff is set up to go has an edit to go really far. And I think they did that maybe not purposefully. I love Survivor. Don't come for me, Jeff Probst. But
not that they're rigging, but
if there were rigging, hypothetically, it would seem that they're rigging for Tiff. But I love that because Mother. But yeah, I don't know.
I think that's even. I mean, you could even say though that that's the point in not swapping, because the one person who's not leaving if they don't swap and Yanu loses is Tiff. So I think that does secure her a bit. You brought this up. I'm going to go to a couple of the comments. So yes, I do have the Yanu buff. I did buy it beforehand because I was standing Kenzie really hard preseason. I still stand Kenzie. I just have other people I stand maybe a little bit harder now. But merge tribe buff color predictions. I am actually not spoiled on this as someone who has typically known like this stuff. I don't know, but I would love to see a pink buff. I think it's been a while since we've seen like a pinkish buff.
I'm feeling a bright orange.
Oh, I was gonna say like a muted orange. But I didn't know if that was too similar to like, I guess it's the red tribe, right? This season. I don't know what their name is, but
they have like a green and then the purple and then yellow.
And then Nami's like a yellowish, so you could do orange. Yeah,
I was gonna say muted orange, but I've really never. I'm not like a huge Survivor head. I just started watching more consistently with the new era, and my first season was David versus Goliath that I watched. So I'm not too familiar with tribe buff colors, but if I had to guess, muted orange for sure. We'll see.
I think these are good picks. So to get into the episode, we see Yanu first, and we've talked a little bit about Yanu. I think one of the things that really gives us a little bit of a will they or won't they, which I think we've always had, that is they're complaining about how they can't make fire on their own. Why do you go continuously? That is the one thing that they say before you go on Survivor. You have to learn how to make fire for yourself. And I understand a lot of people are practicing with flint, but
can I be honest about something?
Yeah.
If I'm asked to go on Survivor, I'm not learning how to make fire.
You'll be great TV. I won't root for you, but you'll make great TV.
No, Erica, you tell them that and you will get cast, because they clearly want to cast people that don't know how to make fire. It's stunning to me that becomes the storyline, though.
Yeah, that's true. You should learn, but it's like, I want to have the most authentic time if I'm going on Survivor. But I'm not sure.
Starve and freeze to death.
Yeah. No, literally though. But I'm not sure that that's their mindset. Like, I am doing it for a bit, particularly. But like, I don't think they do. I don't know. I wonder if it's more like, I don't know the casting protocols of Survivor, but I wonder if they cast like more normies than Survivor super fans, or like more reality TV liking but not Survivor liking fans.
I think they're probably looking into, if half of our cast are massive super fans who can MacGyver pretty much anything and build entire houses with chimneys, they can't cast them all in one season because they'll just steamroll all of the normal people.
Yeah,
that's true.
I think my thought on this is that they have at least done a really good job recently of making even their recruits watch a few seasons so that they can talk about Survivor like they are a big fan. I think, as we'll talk to a little bit later, Hunter, I'm a super fan, but there are things that he does later in the episode that make me think maybe not. So I wonder, and I don't know exactly where that will waffle on that, but I think they do like to cast more fans than not in this new era. But I think that you're still seeing a bit of people being recruited, and whether they're finding or watching Survivor in their own way there, who knows. I think looking at Yanu especially, Q is screaming recruit to me, in that he's coming in with, I think, I don't want to say less strategy, but I think that he has a little bit of a naivety about him that like Tiff is with me and she will just never turn on that. And I feel like in Survivor, especially when the options are so low, you should always think everything is an option and everything is possible. Um, and it's just his edit right now is screaming he's going to be gooped with a major downfall at some point because he was too trusting of people, and that is pretty classic recruit behavior.
I yeah, and I think his downfall is going to be seeing that Tiff is more well off than he is in the game.
Oh, as soon as
Yeah.
they merge, he's going to panic. I feel like he's going to end up shooting himself in the foot and doing too much, and they're going to vote him out.
I hope
Yeah.
not. He's on a draft team of mine.
So, all right. So we go into the Siga tribe, which is the green tribe buff color after this. And typically pre-challenge, they really try to dangle a lot of like these faux storylines in your face of, you know, which one's actually going to play out at Tribal. I think this one really plays out and is a bit of foreshadowing of what's going to happen the rest of the episode, and that they're showing us some like actual substantive like tribe breakdown. Mo immediately talks about the boys thing because they're doing a montage on Ben loving Charlie and vice versa. And this is where I'm starting to think, okay, I think Green is actually going to lose here.
We got the little salsa dancing, like suspicious.
Yeah, which I have thoughts on that too, because I think if you're spending a significant part of the episode in you know in their time, because Green Siga has not had a lot of airtime because they have not been going to Tribal, and you're spending a lot of that time with Charlie making a metaphor with salsa dancing and the footwork required, and then you're just kind of giving Maria this goofy edit, which is like, can she do no wrong? My answer is no, but
Agree.
you think you're starting to see some of the divide here. My question for you is, how much do you think that this was how much do you think Maria was with the girls versus how much do you think the boys thing was happening? Because I know we don't want to jump too far ahead to like what was going on in the Tribal, but it seemed like this was really foreshadowing of what we were going to see at the end of the night with this conversation between Mo and Jem, and then kind of countering over to Charlie and Ben.
I'm wondering if after they apparently uprooted an entire tree to look for that idol, if Maria didn't start looking around and she probably clocked Jen as you might have that, because she was doing too much. Like, she found it and then she wanted to go to everybody and try to like pull her little strings. I think that Maria cut her because she said, if you're not going to come to me and tell me what you have, you're not going to get to keep it. So I'm expecting that Maria's going to do well. She's getting a little bit of a winner edit from me.
I disagree.
Yeah.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
I love Maria. I really want her to have the winner edit. I think she's giving Final Four boot edit. So, yeah, I know it's rotted. It's rotted. It's rotted. It's rotted. On the other side of it, it could be someone that did not learn how to make fire could get the fire edit. But I say that because I don't have anything to add about the salsa metaphor. I did not pay attention. I thought they were just having a fun time. And I couldn't get over how Survivor was pushing this Taylor Swift agenda. Let's not do this anymore, please. Anyways,
In that last episode when he jumped off of that platform,
we're enough. It's
she has enough airtime,
during
people.
football season. It's good. It's good. But what I'm getting at is that Maria, I think it's a shame because I think it's a shame that Purple kept losing, because I think we would have saw that pull between the boys, or Charlie rather, and the girls more. But I think Maria just got with Charlie pretty quickly and had more loyalty to him than she did with the girls, on top of Jem kind of being suspicious. And Mariah just being clueless, she said, well, I'm going to go with Charlie, who has more of a clue in this game and can kind of help me further my agenda. And I think it was a good move. Well, we'll get to it. We'll get to it. But yeah, I think she's setting herself up well. I think she's going to do well come Emerge. I think she'll make it there, but I just think she's going to be found out. But we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Very, very possible. Very possible. I have some other thoughts on that for sure. I mean, I think you brought this up, that the tribe always complaining about not having fire. Kenzie right now in her edit is also very much giving like the fire loser right now, and I could see that. But it's so hard to read into the edit because I do feel like New Era Survivor, they're at least doing a little bit better of a job of dangling some fake stuff in front of us and then doing more of a bait and switch, whereas I felt like the pre-40 era was a little bit more predictable.
Yeah, that's true. Yes, Carrie?
I just saw the results from Denver Mall.
Oh, well, care to share? Actually, don't.
I think it's a spoiler. I can't.
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
We'll talk later. So we cut over to the Nami tribe, which has been on a complete ass-kicking streak with all of the immunity challenges. And we basically see them doing this tribe-wide idol hunt. One of the things that is so alarming to me here is Venus, self-proclaimed fan of Survivor, is so convinced that no one is going to find anything because she knows that Randon left with the Beware advantage. I love Venus. What I don't understand is, again, as a fan, how would you not think that this might be re-hidden? So she is just spending all of her time, and we know that she probably could have found this if she had believed it was re-hidden, but she spends all her time thinking, well, I'm just gonna, play along and act like I'm helping people find this thing that I know can't possibly be there anymore.
Well, no. She rocks, first of all.
She does, yeah.
She's just such her and Kenzie, like, I don't know, can I swear on, like, a swear that is so, just a swear? Okay. She is so unapologetically a cunt. And the same thing with Kenzie, like, they are my mothers. They're just so unapologetically rude and cunty, and I live. But Venus is different in a way that, like, she's also kind of ditzy, and I don't know if it's for show. And as somebody that plays that way in games, like, I do come off as a ditz, so I can say that. But she just rocks. And as far as that goes, it goes back to the casting. I don't know. I don't really have much to say about it. I just, like, are we casting people and telling them to be like, hey, act like a super fan? I don't know. But Carrie, do you have thoughts on that? Because I don't.
I think that production is probably asking people to play up the fact that they're super fans, and then
Sure.
for some people, like, if there's just such a disparity between people who say that they're super fans and named their child Jeffy P, and people who play Survivor and can't swim. So it's like I'm not sure if they're telling people to put it on a little bit more. Like, I feel like the guy that flopped the Temptation, are we talking about that yet, or should I wait?
Sure, Hunter, yeah.
I think he might have been instructed to say in that DR that he was a super fan, because he didn't seem like he was.
Yeah, I think my thoughts on Hunter is I believe that he watched several seasons because he was able to spell out things that has happened in those seasons. Well, he was able to spell out Tyson was on Token Teams. Great. You could have watched Winners at War to know that. But
the information he was spouting off sounded like somebody who had just crammed as many seasons as he could and knew he was cast.
Yeah.
A super fan you are not.
Yeah, and the way he was spelling it out, he's like, "Oh, my friend showed them to me in the order." It's like it's giving. I know many people that would say, "Hey, I'm new to Survivor. Which seasons do I absolutely need to watch?" We have someone on the Subversion cast who's kind of going through their first watch of Survivor right now, and they're like, "Before I watch this season, what do I need to watch?" And so we tell them, like, well, these are the need to, but we don't usually give them to them in order. And so I think that's probably something like where Hunter's at. I'm sure he watched probably more seasons than a recruit has, but super
The
fan.
amount of org players that could have completed that before
Oh,
the
yeah,
hourglass was even turned.
but they don't want to cast that. So
Yeah.
Fair.
I would be
yeah.
impressed if somebody just went up and was like, done.
Yes,
Like,
exactly.
I would be
And
impressed.
it would be so impressive. Um, One of the other things I think before the challenge that is really, really interesting to me is, and this is, I think, what has convinced me at this point that Siga, the Green Tribe, is going to lose, is that we spend more time with kind of some arguing happening there. So we get this fun moment. For me, the quote of the episode definitely should have been Tiki Man, when am I going to poop? Because it was my favorite part of the
I
episode.
think that was the name of the episode. Tiki Man.
It is
Tiki
Tiki
Man.
Yeah, it's just Tiki Man.
But it needed to be Tiki Man, when am I gonna, like, it needed to be the full
true.
Tiki Man, when am I gonna poop? But Tim grilling Jem about the Beware advantage, he has clocked very quickly that Jem is probably the one who put it in their faces. To your point, Erica, I think Jem did too much in terms of, she could have just taken it, said nothing, but she took a risk and really put it in their faces and made them super aware that it even was there. I think that this probably alludes a little bit more to what we were saying too, is that if Maria was catching on, maybe she was the one telling Tim, like, "Hey, I think
I think a
think that
couple
Jem
people got
has it."
together and I think a couple people got together and compiled their receipts and realized who probably was the one that did that.
How do you think about how Tim handled that conversation? Because I know that kind of confrontation can be super risky in Survivor, to be like, "I know you have it," or it can almost seem paranoid at times. But for me personally, I feel like Tim handled the conversation pretty well.
Yeah.
He did. It was gonna end the same way regardless. Like, they
Mm-hmm.
were gonna be at each other. So
Mm-hmm.
I like the way that he handled it because it was funny to watch. But it's
Yeah. It's Go ahead.
good gameplay. No.
Yeah. No. All I was gonna say is that, like, I think this goes back to, like, this goes back to the general thing of not being able to see everything that happens because the cameras can't be everywhere 24/7. But I feel like, judging from that conversation, the conversation they had at another point, which we'll get to, it gave me intel that the conversations between Jem and Tim were like that a lot. So I felt like he had kind of the relationship with Jem to be able to have that banter and, like, come up to her and say that, because of the way she acted later on, which we'll get to again. But I think they just had the banter, but I think he handled it well, and I think it was a very much like, I know something, or I'm on to you, but you don't know how on to you I am. And so she probably didn't think twice about it. Just thought, she was doing her Gem ways.
I saw on Twitter, I will never call it X, but I saw on Twitter someone was speculating, because they didn't see the immunity idol at the camp when they were walked off to have the conversation, that Jem and Tim might have actually had this conversation once they had already lost and knew that they were going to vote someone out. Which in that moment really reeks of, I'm giving you a chance to, like, tell me the truth here and what's happening, and you're still not. And it felt to me like, especially Jem was just kind of getting a little drunk with power in these moments of, like, I can speak to you however I want. It was definitely coming across, I think, when Tim said, who do you want to vote out? And Jem was like, whoever pisses me off. And that,
it was a
to
little
me,
too cocky. That it was too early. People don't know you like that yet.
Yeah. And even something funny like that does not give, I want to work with you.
Right. Yeah, that was something. That was for sure a sentence she said.
It was fun. I mean,
She's
I
so
like you said,
entertaining, and I just wanted more of just her. She literally
yeah,
playing in people's faces, like she did, unbothered. And I
That's
love
another
that.
cunt.
yes,
That's another cunt. We
and
stand.
we haven't seen like an actual menace like her in a bit. Someone
I
who's
think
just
Venus is
really
gonna take that
wanting to be
role.
the prankster.
I'm like,
Yes,
I
Bono
think
was
Venus
right
is gonna
there.
take that.
Bono was a menace in
I,
though.
True.
a totally different way. So we finally get to the challenge. I feel like the before the challenge moments are now so long and drawn out at this point, and it's like that we now have salsa dancing in these segments. But we get to the challenge, and people look kind of pleased that Bonnie has been voted out. They're like, yeah.
They're just all nodding like they were sitting at tribal council.
And I would have to imagine though, from the way like I will tread carefully because I know I'm in the presence of Banu lovers, but Banu yelling at Jess in that moment and kind of seeing how Banu was a little over a top. I would have to imagine some of these players looking forward to merge game or something like that, probably looking forward that they don't have to play with him,
Yeah.
because it doesn't
I
take
would
a
have
lot
been
to
a
know
little
he's a lot.
disappointed. I
Yeah.
would have been disappointed to see that he was gone before merge because he love him to death. He did not seem like someone that was going to make it very far. So I would rather when I get to merge, I can look and be like filler queen, filler queen, filler queen.
Yeah.
And now
Sure.
like they're losing those. So I think that's something that they need to think about when when the bigger tribes are starting to kick people off is you need to keep some filler for merge.
Yeah. So we get into the Unity challenge, and it's this. It seems like they just have like three. It's always like three different pieces of complexity in the immunity challenges for the tribals, or for the tribal challenges. But they unveil all of this food, and the thing that really just like gets me out of whack here is that I think not only do they tell people to play up what a fan they are, but they tell people to play up how excited they are about whatever food they unveil
You
as the
wouldn't have to
reward.
tell me. You wouldn't have to tell me. It could be 12 sprinkles. If I have not eaten in days, I will fall to my knees and cry over 12 sprinkles. I don't care.
And
Like-
they were, and you have like soda like twerking over there about
And I would have. Yeah.
The best
Yeah.
the best one was Mary Appleby's reaction. Like that was too good. That was too good. That was my favorite.
No, if you tell me, oh, you can win half a pastry if you run this half mile, it's probably going to kill me to run the half mile, but in my dying breath, I will be inhaling the Danish.
Who was it? I think the Applebee's comment. I think it was Karishma during or Island of the Idols, and she's like, "Applebee's is my favorite restaurant of all time," and I felt so seen in that moment, but alone and unafraid and afraid to speak my truth there. But I do love Applebee's. They need an
I can't
Applebee's
judge you as an
reward.
Arby's stan. I can't judge you.
Was it Chili's or what am I thinking of? Was I thinking of the same thing?
I think it's
was it
Applebee's.
Outback?
They do
I know that
Outback
one
and they
season they
do
did Outback.
Applebee's.
There was
Yeah.
there was one where Marianne like fell to the ground. I forget which one.
I think that was Outback. I'm
Cold
pretty
Stone
sure
Creamery.
I think New Era has been Outback, but everything right before COVID, they were doing a lot of Applebee's stuff. And listen, as an Applebee's lover, the Applebee's they were giving them looked gourmet. I was like, wow, this looks great. Why don't I get that at Applebee's? Because they were getting the stuff that they were getting the stuff that looks like the ads. And I still have not forgiven Applebee's for the date night promo fiasco that I missed out on, that we'll talk about another time.
I want to see them do like Cheesecake Factory so that people just start sobbing and crying and falling to their knees over Cheesecake Factory.
If you brought Cheesecake Factory as a reward, imagine how much stuff you'd have to bring, because that menu is limitless.
Yeah. Make them fight each other. Like give them those big American Gladiator things to beat each other with. For Cheesecake Factory, that would be good.
Yes, and I think the other thing I would really want to see on the reward is now Wendy's has that Dreamsicle Frosty that is like getting rave reviews, and it's really good. So, hey, Big Brother Canada gets Wendy's, and I think we could see Wendy's on other platforms.
Oh, I forgot about their little drive-through window. It's so cute.
So when we get into the challenge, Jeff is talking a lot about records and how, oh wow, if you lose this, Yanu, you are going to be the
The
losingest
suckiest
tribe
people to
in
ever
in the
suck.
new era. And it's like, great. So you're saying this is a record set for like 6 seasons. Come on, Jeff. Like, you have been on the air. You love to tout at your convenience that Survivor has been on for 46 seasons. But when you want to rub this in their face, you're like, you will have the record for our 6 seasons in the new era. And it just doesn't have that same magnitude because,
I love
if
when
you
he drags
are,
people.
he's dragging people, but it's not stinging as much. What would be compelling, Jeff, if you made a 2 tribe format and this tribe was losing nonstop. That's what we want to see. Take the flint from a group of 9 people that have to huddle together now because they have no fire. Don't take the flint from a group of 3 people that are like Q saying, I will die of starvation before I leave here. No, please don't do that.
Yeah.
I'm
I
dead.
think the deepest cut spoke in this episode, and there were a few, was Jeff saying, and then what do we do for the, and they say losers, and he said, I thought you were going to say Yanu.
Now that was rotted.
That was so shady. And they laughed at it, but everybody, even on the other team, they were like, damn.
So they get into it and they're walking through everything, and it's so hard telling how they're going to do early on, but immediately they get to the slingshots. And I don't know about the 2 of you, but do either of you have like immediate PTSD when looking at a slingshot in a reality show?
Watermelon to the face every time.
Wait.
I was so worried for her because, like, when Kinsey was pulling that back, her strings were twisted, and I was like, Mother, no.
Because I am now of the generation that has seen 2 slingshots gone wrong.
I'm thinking of Olivia from the challenge.
Exactly. Well, there was a watermelon on The Amazing Race as well that did the exact same
hit
thing.
This girl, like, in the, like,
busted her in the face. And so I know that this is different. Like, these are sandbags, whatever, and it looks fine, but I'm still afraid every single time.
Still lose an eye. It worries
Yeah.
me.
Oh my god. Ew, I literally forgot about the Olivia challenge.
Like, if nothing else, if I am doing a slingshot thing on any challenge for any game, I am like turning my head, I'm putting my head behind my arm, I'm covering my face.
Yeah.
And that's how you know these people are not reality TV super fans, because they would know to cover their face. Other than that, I mean, very predictable. Nami takes the lead in the challenge and gets first place. Soda is very proud of herself despite sitting out of the challenge. Like, already jumping up and down and in the center of the group. Such a good songwriter.
She deserves it. She can sit there all she wants.
And this essentially takes us to what we were describing in our chat, the 3 of us, as the mother off between, you had Jem and Maria on green doing the slingshots, and then you had Kenzie and Tiff, and really the 2 of them were the ones going back on each tribe, really knocking them out. The men were kind of flopping this challenge.
I was just standing in front of my television, and when the slow motion started and like the thing was going toward it, and if you could see everyone, I was like,
that was crazy.
Okay, but there was a moment where I thought that was going to fail. I did think for a moment, I was like, they are setting this up for like a miss, and then, the green tribe just takes it anyway.
My wig would have been incinerated.
Stunned. Yeah, I was stunned.
It was great TV. It was great.
And we get what a weird moment we get when Yanu finally wins, or at least was not the worst tribe. I don't know if it's fair to say that they just won, but they have this moment where they're like, is this what winning feels like? And Kenzie's like, it's just so weird. Like, Kenzie's like, we're going to get Flint. And it just keeps going into this whole, like, we never thought we'd be here kind of moment. And it's really weird.
They want a reward challenge. Like, it's not a new
and then Jeff's even like, hey, losers, you got lucky. What happened? Like,
It was too good.
I love when Jeff drags people.
It was so good. I mean, I was excited to see them win because even though I knew that we were probably going to lose someone we liked on green, I don't know that I was ready to lose anyone else on Yanu. I think I was also just more afraid that it was going to be Kenzie, and I didn't want to see that happen yet.
I got bored
I
of the
needed to
snuff
see
film.
Kenzie interact with these other people because she has great confessionals. Kenzie is a great confessionalist, and how she is so good about like being really, really nice to everyone's faces and talking so much shit in the confessionals. And that is what, like, in my opinion, makes a really fun villain to watch. Is that you are so likable to everyone else, and then they look at you and you're just like slashing them at every turn when it's just you on the camera.
Yeah.
I think at a merge, I think all three of the Yanu tribe are going to do well. Tiffany specifically, I think she's set up to do really, really well. But even Kenzie, like, she's got people that will pull her and will trust her. Q easily can pull some of these boys. Like, if he talks to Soda for 3
Yeah.
minutes, I feel like they're going to be tight. So I think that in a merge situation, they're going to have a lot of power. Because some of these other tribes haven't had a chance to really knock each other out yet. So they're just going to be votes for people. I think they'll be safe for a few rounds.
Here I think is where my concern is for Q is that, and we can finally jump here because we're here, but when they go on the journey, so Q is on the journey with Hunter and Tim, and he's very quick to spill his entire game on the table for them, which I don't think is necessarily a bad move because he doesn't really have anyone else. He has Tiff.
He doesn't have another option, really.
He doesn't really have other options. He knows they're probably going to be meeting up soon.
And they already knew that
spoiler,
he was close to
they
Tiff,
are.
So.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. So he is kind of laying his game out there and pushing them to say, hey, let's get this 6 together without really even knowing, do these other men have enough agency to pull someone in?
Yeah, are they even going to go for it?
Yeah, I think Hunter says, oh, I'm going to pull in Tevin. I believe that. They seem tight. But then Tim's like, I got Maria. Maria is going to come with me. And even Q saying, like, I've got Tiff. Now, will Tiff be for it? Yeah, of course she'll be for it. But I'm not convinced that Q is Tiff's number one.
No.
I'm definitely not convinced and we shouldn't be, that Tim is Maria's number one. And so I worry that this is going to expose Q's game to where if I'm a betting person, especially now that it's not going to be a tribe of just Kenzie, Tiff, and Q as we're seeing, Q's going to leave before the other two, I think.
Agree. I think that they'll keep him around for vote for a few rounds, but agree.
I'm so sorry. I have to drop. I host my own online reality game, and there's a tribal happening, and I've been reading updates, so I just wanted to watch. But I'll come back on if you guys are still going.
Okay.
Thank you for having me. I think
who's your MVP of the episode?
The MVP of the episode is Maria. I think who's gonna win is either Tevin or Tiffany.
All right. Well, we appreciate having you on, Erica.
You guys are still doing it. It should be quick.
Okay.
Bye.
So we go through the journey. Any other thoughts on this, Carrie, as far as pulling in the 6 together before we actually get into the challenge?
I think it's a smart move to ask. I don't think that he needs to be convinced that the 6 is going to happen because you don't even know half of the people that you're planning to ride with. So if this is the only thing that he's setting up for himself, he's in trouble. Like, he's got to make sure that, like, they don't have, these other people don't have any reason to trust him. Like, they've flopped a bunch of challenges. Like, they know his entire game because of Banu. So he doesn't have much. Like, as soon as these individual immunity challenges come out, he's going to have to win a couple and then build his people or he's in trouble.
Yeah. So we get into the journey challenge and Hunter is down to play. I don't think he made even results oriented, results oriented, he made the wrong move, but I think I would have done the same thing as him. Hunter has been in a spot where he really hasn't had to play much of the game at all. He should probably not feel much fear that if it stays a tribal game that he's going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
So I don't fault him for playing. I fault him for not watching Survivor seasons in order.
Yeah. I don't think either of those other guys were going to agree to do that. I think he was going to be shoved into it regardless. And it was a little bit of a difficult challenge, like especially with the time limit and like you're literally playing Survivor, you're not thinking about all of the stuff in the past. But he was going to be doing it regardless. I don't think that he needs to be worried about it, and I think that's why he said, I know enough that I think I could do it, but I don't think that he was concerned for himself. Those other two definitely were.
Yeah, I think this is an interesting comment. I think it's so hard when you don't know the challenges and you don't know exactly what's going to happen. They try to be pretty vague in what they're going to give away.
Because it could have just been
I
a
think,
copy of a previous puzzle for them to solve.
yeah,
Could have been
I
anything.
think that there's a ton of us that probably see the challenge in the moment and are thinking, oh, I could do that in 30 seconds, like you said. But without knowing the challenge, I don't know many of us that would have been that excited to be the one pushed into doing it.
It's a big risk for sure. For
It's a
sure.
big
I would much
risk.
rather just get back on the board.
It's a big risk. I don't know that I would ever want to be the person that loses my vote. I feel like, especially even if you were going to leave anyway, like there are people who have left Survivor, been voted out, and have never been able to cast a vote in this new era. And I keep thinking seems like the worst fate that could happen to anyone, that you can say, I didn't quit Survivor, I got voted out of Survivor, and I didn't even get to vote someone out, or I didn't even get to cast a vote.
Now, say that you were picked to do this temptation and you failed it and you lost your vote. When you got back to your island, would you lie and say that you got an extra vote and then just kind of kick that can down the road?
I think that's so hard because especially in Hunter's position, you're not going to tribal. And so you're not going to have an immediate, like, my immediate is like, if I've lost, then it's a much easier to know what I'm going to do. Maybe I would lie and say I got an extra vote, but then there's that risk of, I mean, it's not even a risk. Everyone's going to know at some point you were lying. They're either going to know you didn't have a vote, or they're going to know that you didn't have an extra vote. But that is the one thing that's like, especially in a small tribe, when you do a 3-tribe division, this is why I would also love to see 2 tribes back, is you could hide behind this a little bit more. But now when you've lost your vote, it's almost impossible to act like you're the one that didn't. Whereas, like,
that small of a group, like, it's a death sentence.
When you have 10 people on a tribe or 9 people on a tribe, you're typically not reading every single vote in the pre-merge. You know, it's like, that's 5, that's enough, and then you don't read the rest of the votes. And so it's really easy to hide if you lost your vote, if you got an extra vote, or anything like that, because people aren't going to know in total how many votes are cast.
They can't with confidence go in and say, you voted this, you voted this, you voted this in a bigger tribe.
In a group of 6, it's impossible, I think, to hide there, unless it's a 5-1, which we know it's not historically been. So I personally think, given this dynamic, it's very different. If this was a 2-tribe game, I would go for it every time, not be afraid of losing my vote, and be very easy to hide behind, we didn't see all the votes, or, there's 9 other votes. Why would you think I'm the one who lost my vote? Other people have been on the journey. But here it's just too hard. It's too hard to hide behind what you've done or what other people have done, because it's kind of like when you play like werewolf or mafia or something like that, and you're trying to claim a role that you aren't. Well, the one thing you don't want to do is claim the role that someone else can counter you on, because they are that role. Well, this is the same thing here with this vote, is that when you only have 5 or 6 votes to begin with, you can't claim, well, I was this vote, because then the one person that did it's gonna be like, wait, I did that. And they are going to know, even if they choose not to out you, they're going to know that you now cannot be trusted. And that's just as bad as being outed, because maybe they didn't expose you now, but your time is coming.
Yeah. I have noticed in some of the newer Survivor seasons that with the 3 tribes and how small the tribes are and dwindle to, it almost feels like they're setting certain people up to fail because of the connection of
Mhm.
like the tribe that you get. Like if you are an odd one out in any way, like the odds of you going are so much higher. And so
Yeah.
it almost feels like they're casting people and putting them in these tribes to be picked off, and I don't like that. I don't like watching that. I think I agree with you that I would rather see 2 big tribes than merge,
Yeah.
because
I think
I don't like feeling
I
bad for people.
in what we're seeing in New Era Survivor, sorry everyone, I know we're on a little bit of a soapbox, but like what we're seeing in New Era Survivor is more numbers game than anything else, which is
Yeah.
surprising. You would think it'd be the opposite, but it's we only need 4, and then once you have that 4, you just kind of
You don't even they
dismiss
don't
the others,
Yeah, they
and
don't really
there's
do
no
much.
room for fluid gameplay or anything like that, because you have your 4, you're not gonna flip on each other,
I
and
want
I
stunts, I want
missed.
blindsides. I don't
Yes,
wanna
well, like I
It's not
love
desperate best friend race.
when you have like a group of 7 that comes together and are like, we're never gonna break. Well, you have to do that pretty early, and I think that I'm holding in my heart of hearts. I think that Survivor is going to listen because I think people have been vocal about it. And I
Yeah.
think that they will finally listen. They have to do something different because it is getting stale. We got to get to the 2 tribes starting again.
Do you think that they split it into 3 tribes because they have time to then pull the bios? And then now that they're clearly sticking to 90-minute episodes, they may switch it back? I'm just not seeing the reason for having 6 people tribes, because it's just
I
I don't
think
get it.
part of it is that, especially when they were cramming things into 26 days, there was always the option of you could send 2 tribes to tribal at once if you wanted.
Oh, that's right. I
And
forgot about that.
And so you can make the game inherently faster. So when you look at it all from like a game logistics standpoint, I think that it makes sense why you would do that. I think especially when you were coming back fresh off of COVID, the less people you were exposing to each other
Yeah,
immediately after
that
coming
makes sense.
from the COVID bubble, those things make sense. COVID is still existing, but I think that these people are vaccinated, they're quarantining them still. There's no
They don't share
reason
water
why they
bottles anymore.
can't get back. We may never, and I don't think we're ever going to get the 39 days back, but we can get the 2
No.
tribes back. We can get the 2 tribes back easily. And these people, even, and I get the idea with fast gameplay, and, they may have very little turnover between challenge to tribal. Giving them more time to talk to less people is probably good with a tribe of 6, but I think we would still see some more dynamic gameplay if we'd go back to it. I don't think that the fast gameplay is gonna ruin it. I don't think that you're gonna impede the gameplay. They're playing the game. They're all here to play the game. I'm convinced of that. But I miss when people could just kind of hide. Like
Yeah.
call me
Give me
wacky, but I'm missing the purple edit in the 2 tribe phase. Like I'm missing the person that is just the
like
enigma hiding in the
yeah.
shadows until the merge, and you're like,
Show me
ooh,
that
who's that?
person. Who is that? Is that a PA?
And I kind of miss that because now you don't have the ability to do that. And the people who could hide or the people that could be stealthy, they've lost that ability. And so that is a little sad because I think that's one element of the game that's gone, at least for now.
Yeah.
So we get. Oh, I have to say, when we go into Hunter's attempt on the journey puzzle, I had a lot of fun seeing some of like the flashbacks to the different seasons. Even though it seemed more like a Survivor be like Parvati was on Cook Islands and Cook Islands was before Panama, and I was like, oh no. Uh, but I never thought we would get the Debbie Winner and I'm pissed quote again on an episode of Survivor. And if you have no belief that there is fan service out there in CBS land, they gave us that iconic quote by Miss Debbie, the person who has done everything, from working to Red Lobster to being Didn't she claim to being a nun at one point? I think she did. I never thought that we would see that on the screen again. Such an iconic moment.
It's great. I love when they do the flashback clips.
The flashback clips, that is the one thing from New Era that I will never be upset about. I love that they are giving us like the Survivor lore stuff. Like I think we first really saw that happen. Uh, I was telling you this earlier, but I'm a Ghost Island truther, and they did a lot of that in Ghost Island when they were doing the flashbacks to like the seasons that the advantage or the thing that went wrong happened. And I think that we see it a little bit more, and I think it's placed a little bit more.
I always like hearing who the players' favorite Survivor players are and what they're taking from their favorites and what they're not going to do, and it's always fun.
Yeah, so Hunter gave us a lot about his time. Again, I'm not sold that he's a super fan. I think that he's a watcher. I think that he's watched a bit more.
I think he crammed a little.
I think he's crammed. I think he crammed. Probably preparing, and I'm sure this wasn't his first time applying for Survivor. I'm sure he was definitely trying and trying to learn more about the show and all of that. Was not expecting to see Rupert Boneham on my screen in 2024. But alas. So we get back to Siga in the moments kind of leading up to Tribal, and they waste no time with getting into Jem, looking for the key to the idol, finding the idol pretty quickly.
How did nobody see her? Like, I feel like the whole
they had to
do, like they had to have seen her. Like, what are you doing with a machete near the sign? Like, they had to have seen her. And I think that might have been part of why the episode ended
absolutely how it did. I think so too. And she's getting more and more power hungry. She's grilling Ben about what he's going to do and kind of pushing too hard on both Ben and Tim, saying, where are you voting? I just want to vote with you. Tell me where you're voting. You're not voting for me, are you? And it's giving, especially because the way that she talks to Tim, like, I don't really feel close with anyone on the tribe. So what that's telling me then is, okay, Jem, you are now only talking to me because you don't want me to vote you out.
Yeah, you just told this man he was a meat shield, and now you're saying you're going to vote with him. Like, this isn't, it's not connecting for us. It wasn't like she wasn't talking to all these people out of a desperation. Like, it was clearly the way she was talking to them was, I'm controlling this game, not this early mama. I'm disappointed for her. I'm sad for her. I wanted more, but I think they had her number.
The thing that was such a tip off to me is Jem has the very classic, there's no way I'm not getting my way tonight. There's no way it won't be Ben or Tim tonight. And immediately then is when you should have said, bye, Jem. It's your time. It was her time.
Yeah.
But even before that, I really enjoyed that they went to the clips of really they had already established Maria and Charlie's duo, but I think emphasizing that it is important. It's not just two people that like each other. Charlie and Ben are not deciding this vote. It is Charlie and Maria, and they made sure to confirm to us that these are the people controlling the Siga tribe, the dynamics there. This is where the social stuff is feeding into. And I liked seeing this because they were really positioning them, I think, as people who could do very, very well in the game. I know that they have talked about being the Denise Malcolm, but I can't help in the new era to compare them a little bit to Carson and Carolyn. I think that they are playing really fun together. I think that they have a lot of the social dynamics, but man, tonight more so than ever, I was like, Maria is powerful.
Oh, yes. And I feel like she is picking up on what the connections are. Like, she seems like somebody that can read people really, really well. And Like, it almost gave me chills when she's sitting at tribal council, and like right after Jim had said, well, I don't think anybody here knows who we're voting for, and she said, I think everybody here's had a pretty good idea of what we're going to be doing most of the day. Like, please don't mess with her if you want to live. Like, I feel like she
No,
knows what's going on.
no. And even going into like the tribal, I mean, she just looks so not comfortable, confident.
Yeah, no,
She
she wasn't worried
looks
about it. She knew exactly what was going to happen. She had the script in her hand. Like, she
no.
was ready.
And I was just and I'm just thinking like I even if I felt like I was in total control, even if I felt like I knew what was happening, I would be shaking the whole time until I know because I feel like I'd be just such a nervous wreck until I know for sure that the votes
And
came
Mother
out
was
and
unbothered.
unfazed, unfazed,
Mm-hmm.
and she just walked in there with like a this is what's happening. She was the linchpin of the entire thing, and these people are not going to clock this.
No, but
I
they
think
don't realize how much she's controlled. Like, they don't realize that some of the things that they're saying are things that she
mhm,
told them. Like, they don't
no,
realize.
I feel like even when Tim was going to Jem and questioning her about the idol, this is something that's been planted in his head by Maria. I
Absolutely
would
was.
bet money on it. And I
Mm-hmm.
can't wait. Whenever Tim is voted out, he will be. He's not making it to the end. There's no way. I want to understand from him, did he have that original thought? And of course, some of the main character syndrome is going to say yes. But I have a feeling that he may give some nod to Maria here because I would be shocked if she didn't plant that idea because she had to have known when she was already discovering it, and she has a really great confessional talking about how she was definitely under the impression it had already been found. She was
Mm-hmm.
already planting those ideas of this has already been found.
Yeah.
I think she had ideas of who found it as well.
Yeah.
I think she knew she couldn't be the one to confront Jem if Jem wasn't going to come out and tell her about it, because then she knew that she would lose Jem's trust to get anything else from her. But like you said, if you're not going to tell Maria, who is in control, because I would imagine if Jem tells Maria that she has the idol, Maria is probably not voting Jem out of the game.
She wouldn't have. I don't think that she would have, no. I think that they voted her out because she was essentially trying to play the mole. Like, you're on you're in Fiji, mama. Like, you don't it while it was good TV. I loved watching her red herring everybody. I think it made people mad that they dug down and found a bunch of dangerous ants. I think that was problematic for her. Is it her fault? No. But I feel like she did a little bit too much there.
Yeah, I agree. Watching Maria and I can't think of any other word other than she held court. She held
Mm-hmm.
court from the time they lost until the time Jem's torch gets snuffed. She is just there, like she is sitting confident. She is on a throne, and I don't even mean this in like Stan Mother kind of way. Like call it for what it is. She is objectively in control
Yeah,
of
no,
the
she knew
entire
exactly what was
thing.
going to go on.
Um, and I think it's so interesting because I think that if she gets pulled into this six that they were talking about on the journey, uh, she's only going to hold more power. She's only going to know about more things, hold more power, and I think the more of these people meet her, I can't think of a lot of these people that are A, going to challenge her, or B, not want to do everything they can for her approval.
Yeah. In a merge situation, there are several people who are going to be above her on a target list for
Hmm.
people there because she has that way of talking to people one on one and they're like,
Hmm.
you really like me. Like, you're on.
Yeah.
And I don't think that she's going to be in trouble. I think if
Yeah.
she ends up orchestrating like some really spicy blindside, they might catch on to her. But I don't think she's going to do that till late game.
The other thing that she has on her side, I think, is people look at Q, people look at Hunter as these like big challenge beasts. And I think that she has the benefit of not being a challenge beast when she's very good at challenges.
I feel like when the
Um,
individual immunity challenges come out, she's
She's gonna do well, and I think that she's gonna start doing well, or at least start letting people see she can do well when it's too late to get her.
Mhm.
Because typically, I mean, yeah, she does fit the type of a person that you don't take to the end and she loses fire. She also fits the bill of someone who maybe you like feel bad for and you take so she doesn't have to make fire. And so I don't
She's
know what
playing,
Maria's.
yeah, she's playing in a way that it's gonna be emotionally damaging for people to write her name down on a parchment, and that's
Mm-hmm.
good gameplay. That's good. You like if it's
Yeah.
not breaking your heart to vote me out, I'm not playing correctly. And
I think that's a really she definitely is getting this like emotion. She's got like the cult leader vibe to her.
mhm.
I think we are just scratching the surface of the game that Maria is going to play this season.
If she and Tiffany
And
get together, cut the check. It's over.
cut the check. I mean,
Mhm.
I
And
think that
Tevin are
she.
my three
Oh,
that I want
oh my
together.
gosh. Oh my gosh. Maria and Tevin together would be so fun.
Yeah.
I think the thing that's going to be hard is, yeah, I can see it on one end. So, like, if the six comes together, obviously Tiff, Tevin, Maria, Hunter, they're all in that grouping. I don't know that Maria and Hunter are going to be the best of friends. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think that there could be a little bit of a power struggle there. Um, Not outwardly, but I think Maria could play that by proxy a little bit and get her
Yeah.
way. Because if she's planting seeds the way that I think she is, I think that she will have no problem wreaking some havoc and looking like she's doing nothing.
Yep. Exactly.
So yeah, Jem goes out. If you had told me at the beginning of the episode, I've been a big Jem fan. If you had told me at the beginning of the episode, I would have said, "Co wrong about this boot." I'm still sad about it, but I feel like Jem's story is played out potentially here. It. What do you think?
I think she played a little bit too hard too early and it bit her in the butt. And I've seen it play. I've people in reality shows on television and orgs and live games always end up somebody's always going to do a little too much too early and they're going to go. And while I appreciate her for the great TV, I'm a little bit disappointed that she didn't kind of temper it a little bit. Save it for late game, mother. Um,
Yeah.
like I just expected her to be one of the powerhouse people later on. But we have Maria and we have Venus, we have Tiffany, so I think we're okay losing Mother Jem.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still sad about it because I think that the women in particular have really been dominating this season, and I think having that meeting of the minds of all of these like really ferocious, incredibly savvy women together would have been so fun.
But I think the
Um,
minute those girls touched down on a beach together, those
Yeah, and to me, like the way that Jem was acting, especially leading up to being voted out, I'm not confident that she would have been great for group cohesion. Like it seemed like she was just getting a little bit of an air about her that was, I don't know, very cocky when she had the idol.
yeah, too
Uh,
much, too much.
what's worrying me here is the beware advantage. The idol seems very cursed right now. You have Randon get medevaced.
Jem lost
You
with it. Yeah.
you have Jem losing with it. Now Tiffany's held on, but I don't know. And this is a good comment here. I think
Mhm.
Jem playing overplaying it. I think especially if Maria was not going to trust her, was not going to be good with working with the other people. And so I think at some point, seeing the way that this episode played out, they really did a good job of Jem kind of narrating her own downfall for everyone. You see it laid out in front of you, even ending before tribal with the like, there's no way that this is not going to happen. And it,
Yeah.
of course, will happen at that point. So we go to the next time. Spoiler, it looks like we're going to at least have a swap, if not a merge, but I think it's the merge. They
How many
could,
people
like,
is this?
So it's 13. So this is probably, they've done like the earn the merge. They've done like the couple of votes. I'm assuming that this is probably the earn the merge. So I'd say one person will not earn the merge. They'll get voted out there. And then they'll
Or it will
probably do
be
an
they do the challenge and then like there's like a back half and they're the ones that
that's
go to
what I
tribal.
think it's going to be. That's what I think it's going to be. And
Yeah.
then I think as a full merge, they'll probably vote out one more person that's not going to be on the jury because they love being nasty like that now and letting the people. I think once you make the merge, you should make the jury. I will never ever waffle on that. I think that is my thought through and through. Because at that point, you have seen everyone who can be in the end play the game. But the earn the merge may be different, but
yeah, I see what
you
you're
can't
saying.
sell me. You can't sell me on the merge boot not being on the jury. Any other thoughts before we get to our MVPs of the night?
I can't think of anything right now. I am enjoying the season. It's not, again, I said it earlier, it's not gripping me like some of the previous seasons that I've watched. But I mean, it's nothing to do with the cast. The cast is great. The games are great. I'm not.
Yeah.
Needs more geckos. I think I'm missing the geckos.
I think for me, I think the cast is great in my opinion. I know I have seen like the Twitter stuff of, you know, the cast kind of going at people and people saying the cast is bad. I disagree. I think the cast is actually really great. I think they're a mess and I think it's wonderful.
I love
I
Max.
think
Yeah.
I think I am just bored by how stale some of the new era stuff is happening. Oh great, the Beware advantage is different. It's still a Beware advantage. We're still doing 3 tribes and that has not changed and we are 6 seasons into the new era. I want to see something a little different, and there's no change up to even encourage fluidity when you're keeping things so tightly separated. So I think that format feels stale, cast feels great. Cast can only carry you so far though, because and that can carry you pretty far. But I just want to see it change up a little bit. So I don't know. I think going into the next episode, so when these people all come together, who are you thinking is a great like, and it's hard because you don't know who's not going to be in the top group if that's what they do. Who do you think is a good candidate to be booted here?
I would say it's probably going to be one of the dudes from Green. Only because they don't seem to have the connections on Green that they do on the Yellow Tribe. Like the Yellow Tribe's been kind of killing it. They seem really close. I can't see anybody writing down Tevin's name. So I feel like the Yellow Tribe, if Yellow and Yanu pull together, they can vote anybody off of Green that they want because they already have some upsets there. And I think that the Green Tribe has enough people that are smart that will jump ship. Like, so I'm thinking it's going to be one of the guys from there that's going to go.
I think that the 6 might actually happen. This is my thinking, is that the 6 might actually happen because I'm a firm believer of Survivor usually doesn't show you something unless it means something.
It's going to happen.
Even in some small capacity. And so I could see them even sticking together for a small bit. But I could see that person maybe being someone like Mo. I could see us losing Mo or someone like Liz.
Yeah.
I mean, I could also see Q like offering Kenzie up as a sacrifice, but I just don't see that happening.
I don't know that people would go for it. I think that would make a bigger target for him because they already know that Q and Tiffany are close.
Yeah.
And so if he's out here advocating to vote off Kenzie, they're not going to trust him. They're just not.
Mo to me makes a lot of sense because she's been spurned by a vote. Clearly she was left out of it. And so it's a great way to just like take out the dirty laundry and take her out now because she can't spill anything. So if I were to pick someone to leave next round, I think it's Mo. And that's sad because I do like her. But I don't know that we have a whole lot of story left with her either, but love her.
The jumping thing was funny.
The jumping thing was funny.
And
Yeah.
then she practiced. She got like 3 whole inches from practicing at home. I was proud of her.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think we have much left from her. And if I could choose between Liz and Mo, I prefer Liz bragging about how rich she is. And
they're not going to forget that. They're not going to forget that.
And personally, at this point, once you get to the individual game, she's a great person to take to the end and argue she doesn't need the money.
That's
so fair. I feel like, you know, her biggest struggle was going to be getting to the merge, but when your tribe never loses, that's not a struggle. So I think that she is very likely to hold a seat at the end if these people think about that and think about the logic of, are you deserving of the money if you have money? And I've heard on several podcasts, I've heard different survivors talk about this, how the juries actually talk about, does this person actually need it? I think it's ridiculous. I think it's so ridiculous.
I don't necessarily like that because it flies in the face of the game itself. Like, it shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter how much money someone has at home, whether or not they win. Like, and I understand why people why people play that way. I get it. I would honestly probably play that way as well, but I don't like it. I feel like it's disrespectful to the game. I feel like it's disrespectful to completely discount someone potentially winning, even if they had the best game, just because of the tax bracket they're in. Is kind of,
it's like, well, why am I here? Am I here to just like volunteer to lose? I mean, I will say, in defense of the camp of Liz doesn't deserve it, if I am going out there and if I were someone who was better off financially, I might not advertise that.
Don't say anything. I think what turns me off is anytime somebody says, I don't think they deserve to win, and it's for a reason not related to the game. Mm-hmm. That should have no bearing whatsoever on whether or not someone deserves to win, because you, as a competitor to that person, saying that they don't deserve to win, like, that's, of course you're going to say that.
It feels very dismissive. Yeah. I agree. All right, so let's get into the MVPs. We've been going almost an hour and a half. Thank you to the fluctuating 13 to 15 viewers that we've had the whole time, because we have just been talking about nothing.
Yeah. I will say, like, my MVP absolutely going to be Maria. Even if the things that she's been doing here are completely made up in my head and I'm delusional, she's killing it.
Yeah, I mean, the edit is what happens, and for me, Maria is hands down above the rest.
Maria
right now,
Tiffany.
At least in terms of what is being planted. Yeah, if I were to give a second, I would say Tiffany. I think Tiffany, I'm not seeing any weaknesses in her game right now, other than she was on Yanu, but then they won. Yeah. I think those two are the best. Like, if I were to go over to Nami right now, I don't know who holds the edge outside of Tevin and Hunter. I think those two are definitely the front runners on Nami for me right now.
Tevin's doing a great game. I think Venus has the potential to do a really good game.
Yeah.
It just depends on how other people perceive her, which I hate for her.
Yeah, but I think, I mean, Maria right now, at least from what's being presented, what I'm consuming, I can see a world where it's baited for us to be heartbroken, but I can also just see a world where she steamrolls all of these people and they thank her at the end for it.
Still haven't forgotten Emily.
Oh.
Terrible. I know. They better not Emily again. They better not Emily me again. Oh.
I think Emily is a little different at it, though, because, you kind of go from the peaks and valleys throughout the season. And Maria has, like, such a strong edit right now that it's almost like she has to have, like, a downfall. Like, for example, first episode, I think first episode, Soda had an incredible edit. And you're like, this is someone who's going to do really great. And then they show you episode 2 and they're like, maybe not. Like, she's not as socially integrated or socially graceful as they want you to think. But Maria, I'm struggling still to see any problems with her game.
Where
Other
is the
than
flaw?
maybe she won't be able to manage her threat level, but maybe she'll just get rid of the people who can shed light on that.
It's gonna take a lot for people to band together to want to write her name down, because she doesn't seem like she's running the show yet. I feel like
Yeah.
she might play it wrong and be the first person at Merge to go. I hope not. So, but
Yeah,
that's my
I agree.
opinion.
Well, as we're about to close out, I just want to shout out Live Reality Games for letting us take over the recap tonight. Want to make sure everyone goes over and follows on YouTube, likes, subscribes, all the things. They put on such a great opportunity for us to do this here. So we're very, very thankful for it. And for us, if you like our content, if you're just interested in what Subversion is, watching the Mole, we're currently airing at Subversion Mole on YouTube. We are airing season 1 on Thursday nights at 8 p.m. We do an after show, kind of like this, on Monday nights. And we are airing episode 8. So we are later in the season, but there's always time to catch up if you want to see what we're all about. We also have apps currently running. I've got the link in the Live Reality Games page. I also got it all over our Instagram, our Facebook for Subversion. But apps for season 2 of Subversion Live close April 15th. We are going the end of October to Las Vegas, and we really hope, if you're interested in the Mole, trying it out, or just want to play a live reality game that does not involve voting people out, that you'll
It's
consider
great,
coming to Vegas.
honestly. If you're worried about being first boot in a vote him out game, play a Mole game. Go in, be suspicious, have a great time. It's wonderful.
Absolutely. And it's fun all around. I think I have one of the best teams out there, and our cast was just so good this season. So I hope you'll give us a chance. If not, thanks for at least tuning into us for an hour and a half of a Survivor recap. I can't wait to see who's on next week and see what goes on as we hit the merge of Survivor 46. But that's it for us now. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for watching. Congratulations to the production of the Denver Mole, and the winner. I'm very excited.
Bye, everyone.
Good night, stars.